Alrighty, welcome to my live stream. My name is Brennan Dopp. On my channel is the #1 place where you can learn how to turn your Etsy side hobby into your full-time income. Thank you so much for checking in today. If you are tuned in right now, go ahead and let me know in the live chat, and we will get started here shortly. I apologize for the delay. I was having some technical difficulties, but we are good to go now. So for those of you that are watching this on the replay, I will add chapters down below so that you can easily navigate through my stream and watch the parts that interest you most. And if you have questions regarding to anything related to print on demand or selling on Etsy, you can ask your questions in the live chat and I'll answer those the best that I can. But until then, I want to start discussing if it's still possible to make money on Etsy in 2023. I've had a lot of questions over the past few months on my channel as well as in our Facebook group saying it's no longer possible to make money on Etsy. It's too saturated. The people that are making money started in 2020, or there's too many sellers. But I want you to know that it is still possible to make money in 2023. And I want to talk about a few examples. But if you have questions, ask them in the live chat after I share my examples. I will be answering any question that you have. I want to make this as beneficial for you as possible and make it 100% worth your time for tuning in. All right. So first off, if you haven't watched my most recent videos that I've created, especially my two most recent ones, I've shared several examples of current sellers that have either opened their shop within the last year or have created listings within the last few months that have performed extremely well for them. There are several examples of these sellers that have recently created a listing that is making them anywhere between $1,000 in profit for the last month up to $30,000 in profit within the last month. And that's just for one specific listing. That's not covering their entire store's revenue or profit. So I highly recommend going and watching those most recent videos that I did, because there's several examples that will show you that it's possible and that it's proof and that there's proof that you can still make money today, even if you open your shop starting today. It really is possible. There's so much opportunity and potential still on Etsy, especially selling print on demand. So go and watch those videos, and you'll just be inspired. Really, I watched when I was doing the research, especially for my digital products video. I was honestly impressed and inspired, and it was confirmation that yes, there's still a lot of opportunity on Etsy, and there's a lot of different ways and different routes that you can take it in order to make money. So go watch those videos, and you will know that it's still possible, that people are still making money today, and that it really just takes discipline and hard work, and you're able to do it. So I want to talk about a few examples here on entering saturated niches. There's a few businesses that stand out to me, not specifically to print on demand, but businesses that are selling other products. So the first one I want to talk about is a sock company. So I'm going to preface this with a question. If you were to answer this question, do you think it is possible to start a sock company today or within the last 5 or 10 years and create a profitable sock company? That's a question I have for you. If you think it's possible, type in the live chat yes or no. If you think you can start a sock company that will be profitable for you. So go ahead and type in the live chat yes or no. So I have one no. What does everyone else think? Okay, Gloria from the Stanford Exchange says yes. Anyone else? Yes or no? Is it possible to start a profitable sock company? Captain Joe says no. Yes. Okay, so we have some yeses and some nos. So I want to talk about the company Stance. If you haven't heard of Stance Socks, this is a company that was created and founded within the last 10 years, and they broke through the market because they created something unique and different. And here's an example of what a Stance sock looks like. So you can see it's bright in color, it has graphics on it, and it's a very high quality sock, really good material. And so people want it. And if you haven't followed Stance Socks or you don't know anything about Stance Socks, I highly recommend going and reading their story. It all started with an idea, the founder going to Target, noticing that socks were only created in the colors of black, gray, and white. They were very boring. There weren't any expression with them. And he thought of the idea to create a sock that was full of color and would allow you to fully express yourself as an individual. And he wanted to create a sock that was very high quality and was very comfortable to wear. And you fast forward now, this is $1 million company. They became the sock of professional sports. So the NBA and several other professional sports. And it's because he had an idea and he took action and he saw a problem, he saw a need, and he found a solution for that. Okay. And so now Stance Socks is an extremely profitable business who is making really good money. Okay. The next example I want to talk about is Stanley Socks. And I know you guys might be wondering where is this going to go, but I promise you it's going to come back to print on demand and selling on Etsy and how it can apply to making money on Etsy in 2023. So the next example I want to talk about to you is if you think it would be possible to start a water bottle company in the last 5 or 10 years, or to adapt if you had a company already, a water bottle company, and if you think it'd be possible to make money selling water bottles. Type yes or no in the live chat and let me know. Yes, is it possible to start a profitable water company now in 2023? Or no, it's not possible? Okay, we have yes. Yes or no. Let me know if it's possible to create a water bottle company in the coming in this year, or if it's possible to already have a water bottle company and adapt to continue to make money. So no, I would imagine we're gonna get a lot of yeses and a lot of nos. So the next example I want to talk to you about is the Stanley Water Bottle Company. They were founded in 1913, but since then there have been several hundreds and hundreds of water bottle companies that have popped up and have branded themselves into the market. And Stanley had to figure out a way to adapt. And if you're not familiar, here is a prime example. This is the Stanley 2.0 quencher water bottle. It's extremely popular right now. I'm sure a lot of you have it. I know my wife has it and she loves it. And the idea with it is Stanley figured out a way to stay competitive in the market because they saw a problem, which was these water bottles that would keep your water either cold or hot are not dishwasher friendly, as well as they couldn't fit in cup holders. So if you think of Hydro Flasks, a great water bottle that didn't bring any new technology really to the market, but they figured out a way to remarket the water bottle and it'd keep your water cold. So the old Stanleys, I remember growing up as a little kid, my parents would keep our hot chocolate in the Stanley thermos for when we'd go sledding, and no one thought to put cold water to keep it cold. But then Hydro Flask came in, they rebranded themselves. The whole focus and intention was, okay, we have this water bottle that's going to keep your water cold. But the problem was it wouldn't keep you couldn't put it in the dishwasher and it wouldn't fit in the cup holder. So then Stanley figured out a way to remarket and rebrand themselves to stay relevant and to stay competitive. And that was they made a water bottle that was dishwasher friendly and it could fit in your cup holders, which is a huge problem solving thing for those of you that love carrying water bottles with you. My water bottle, I don't have a Stanley. My wife has one. My water bottle is a Yeti. It doesn't fit in a cup holder. I can't throw it in the dishwasher, and it's very frustrating. But my wife has the Stanley, and it fixed a problem. But to get to the point here is they were in an extremely, extremely saturated niche and or an extremely saturated market. And they figured out a way to stay relevant, to adapt, and to solve a problem, to find a need for, or to see a need and to fix that need, and to stay profitable. And there's today, if you're not familiar with Stanleys, they are so popular. This specific water bottle that I'm talking about, that people are scalping them on the Facebook Marketplace, on local marketplaces like KSL or Craigslist, whatever it is. But it's impossible to find them. They'll be produced, they'll go into the big box stores, and people buy them all up so that they can scalp them because they're so popular. So they stayed relevant, and they're an extremely, extremely profitable company in a very, very saturated niche, or a very, very saturated market. Okay, the last example I want to talk about is Thread Wallets. If you're not familiar with Thread Wallets, it's a newer company. It was founded in 2015. And the same thing is, do you think it'd be possible to create a wallet nowadays? Because there's so many different wallet companies out there. People will say yes or no, but the answer is yes, it's still possible. If you're not familiar with Thread Wallets, it's a minimalist wallet. that does really cool branding on it, different patterns. They feature different artists, and it's a minimalist wallet, so it can easily fit in your pocket. Doesn't take up much space, and they figured out a way to bring take a simple idea, the wallet, an existing idea that people need, that people want, and then to make a better use for it and to rebrand it to specifically younger generation people. As time went on, they had to adapt, and then side bags became popular. They adapted their business and they created very fashionable side bags. And you can either wear it on over your shoulder, you can wear it as across your chest. But it's a very functional product, very high quality, and people love it. And it was a wallet company that started in 2015, which is extremely late when you think of terms of wallets, because those have been around for years and years and years. But they figured out a way to bring something unique and different to the table. And now they're $1 million company selling wallets. Okay. So we're going to move on now. So I understand that these companies didn't start in 2023, but they started in a time when their market was extremely saturated, and they figured out a way to adapt and bring something different, as I mentioned before. And not only that, they brought something very high quality, something that someone would want, and something that someone would need. So these examples I shared are no different than the current situation that we are in right now with doing print on demand, selling on the Etsy marketplace. Printful and Printify, which are two of the biggest print on demand companies to fulfill your orders, were founded in 2013. And since then, the market has become extremely saturated. So yes, if you were to start in 2013 when there was very little competition, I would bet it was much easier to make sales on Etsy or whatever platform you're selling on doing print on demand. But since then, it's become way more popular and way more saturated. But just because it has, it's no different than these examples that I showed you with the water bottle, the wallet, and the socks. If you can adapt yourself and create a product that is high quality, and you have a lot of different options with print on demand, you can print on just about anything, and you can create a very high quality design that's trending and that's current and that's relevant. People are going to buy it. It's just the name of business. If you create something that someone wants, that the customer wants, they're going to buy it. And you can do that starting today on Etsy. If you've been selling on Etsy for 3 years, you're going to have to adapt as time goes on in order to stay relevant and in order to be profitable. If you start today, you have just as much of an opportunity as someone who started 3 years ago or 5 years ago, if you are willing to create something that is unique and different and that is high quality. Okay, so 100%. To answer the question that I get often on my channel and my Facebook group, is it still possible to make money on Etsy? 100%, yes, it still is very, very possible. I know a lot of people say there's so many sellers. You only could have success if you started in 2020. That's when everyone started doing print on demand. That's not true. People have been selling print on demand since 2013 or even sooner. But if you are willing to discipline yourself and figure out how to always be learning, improving, and implementing, you will see success and you will find success. I can promise you that. Okay. So I want to answer questions that you guys have. So this is as beneficial as possible. So if you have questions, go ahead and enter them into the live chat and I'll answer them the best that I can. If you're finding value in this live stream, please give it a thumbs up. And also, if you know someone that would find this interesting, please share it with them as well. But I'm grateful for everyone tuning in today, and I'm now going to answer questions that you have. So go ahead and ask those questions. So here's just an example. Here's my water bottle, the Yeti. It doesn't fit in cup holders. The Stanley, it does fit in cup holders. So being able to adapt is the way you stay relevant and you have a successful business. All right, let's answer some questions here. Okay, so Gloria, I think it is. So the Stanford Exchange, Gloria, I'm just going to do a shout out for you. She is a wonderful example of someone that took action and disciplined herself and is now seeing results on Etsy. I believe, you can correct me if you're wrong, Gloria, but you've had your best end of year yet this last year, without minus some minor errors that you had that you were able to learn from. But she's a perfect example of someone that had very little experience in print on demand and selling on Etsy, and took action, learned what she needed to learn, and was selling things that are current and trending, and is now making daily sales and has a very profitable Etsy shop. So, congratulations to you, Gloria. I just want you to know how proud I am of you for that. Do you think it's strange that I'm getting mostly sales from ads when they used to come mostly from keywords? So I think ads are there's such a hit or miss with Etsy, specifically Etsy ads. It's just a game of experimenting, and I it depends on how much you're pouring into ads, Gloria. But if you're pouring a lot of money into your ads, which I conclude that you have been, at least from the comments you've shared, that it makes sense that most of your sales are coming from your ads because you're going to be showing up the most with your ads. But with that, you should still be selling organically, but a sale is a sale. If your ads are profitable and that they're converting well for you, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. The solution for that though is I don't know, you'd have to experiment. You can if you want to turn off ads, you can and see if you're still selling. But I've noticed in my shops when I've this just could be a personal thing too. I don't know any proof. I don't have any proof with it, but when I've ran ads for a certain period of time and then I've turned them off, for some reason I go through a spell where I have fewer sales, fewer daily sales. And I don't know if it's just a coincidence that that happens, but you have to just experiment with ads and see how it works for you. But the best way is to yeah, either turn off ads or keep running them. It's entirely up to you. But I don't have an answer for you specifically why that's happening. But it makes sense that you're having more sales from ads, especially if you're pouring money into ads right now. In your store, as long as it goes with your okay, when scaling, do you think different types of items is okay in your store as long as it goes with your niche? 100%. I think it's extremely important to be willing to experiment with different products. Um, so different types of items. I assume you're referring to different types of products. But when we first started out, I've shared this often, but we sold mugs, we sold wall prints, we sold t-shirts, we sold baby onesies, we sold t-shirt like adult t-shirts, kids t-shirts, sweatshirts. We really were experimenting with anything. We were doing stickers and we kept experimenting with products until we found one that worked well for us. And we started to have a lot of success with the Bella Canvas 3001 t-shirts as well as the Gildan 18,000 sweatshirts. And so we just honed in on that. We doubled down on that, and we started to sell mostly that. And that's what we mostly sell today. We still have a few mug listings, but they don't sell that often. And we have one or two sticker listings, but they sell very rarely. If they do sell, it's usually they sell with a t-shirt or a sweatshirt with the same design that's on that t-shirt or sweatshirt. But if it's related to your niche, I think it's completely fine to experiment with different items. And you have to also remember that most shoppers that come into Etsy, they're shopping directly just through your listing. Rarely do they click through to your store to see what else you have and what else you buy. If they see a listing that they love or in search results, they see your listing, they'll click through to your listing. If they like the listing and they have the necessary information within your listing, they're going to just purchase directly through that listing rather than clicking through your store. And some do click through, but the point I'm trying to make here, Gloria, is don't worry about having a general store with a lot of different products and items because most of them are going to shop directly just through your individual listing rather than through your store. And I think it's important. You would be foolish to not experiment with print on demand with a lot of different products in the beginning because yeah, the options are endless. You can sell shower curtains, bath mats, um, ornaments. I mean, the options are endless. So it's important to be willing to try out different things because for all you know, maybe Christmas ornaments or wall decor, house decor is your thing. And that's what's going to do well for you. So if you don't experiment, you'll never know. All righty. So, how much time do you work in a daily basis? So, it really depends. That's what I love about being self-employed and running my own business and having my own Etsy shop is I can work as much as I want in a day or as little as I want depending on what I have going on. There are some days where I will work 8+ hours and there are some days where I will only work 2 to 3 hours and there's other days where I won't work at all. So it depends on what I have going on. It fluctuates. In the beginning stages, I definitely put in the most hours because I was trying to get everything up and running and off the ground and really trying to figure out what was going to work for me, getting my listing count up and doing the basics that will really allow you to have a successful Etsy shop. But as I started to kind of figure out my systems and automate things and have a daily system and a daily schedule, I was able to better adapt and work when I want and however often as I want. So I don't have a set schedule. We try to, at least in the mornings, we'll do our housekeeping stuff. So any customer service that we need to take care of, we try to create designs as often as possible. As of recently, we've been busier with our other businesses, so it's been harder to keep up with that. But we try to always at least dedicate a few hours in the morning to the daily maintenance things, as well as being intentional with our time and doing the things that will help scale our businesses. Um, but that's the beauty, Gloria. To answer your question, you can create your own schedule, figure out what works best for you. And remember, the whole idea, at least for me, it might be different for you. The whole idea and reason for creating this business and doing print on demand and selling on Etsy was to free up more time for me and to create more time for my wife and I and our family. So if I'm creating this business that is just going to consume my time and make me work more than if I were to work a stable 9 to 5 job, then it makes zero sense for me to do it. The only reason why I would do this and the reason why I'm doing this is so that I will have infinite potential of what I can make, and also so I can have infinite time. Because the only reason why anyone works is to fund what they love to do and to fund their why. So if you're working more than your normal job, um, you might want to reconsider things and figure out how you can be more efficient with your time, be more productive so that you can save time and work less. But with that being said, it's not like this comes easy. It's going to just, oh, okay, Brennan said you can work 30 minutes a day and you're going to be successful. You have to put in your work. And in the beginning stages, the first year, really, we were grinding every single day, putting in very long hours, building the foundation for our store, building the moat around our store so that we can really have success and now have more flexibility to do what we want when we want. So great question though. And you too, I'd be curious for all of you that are tuned in right now, let me know in the live chat how many hours are you spending on this a day? And you can kind of gauge, okay, am I putting too much time into this? And how can I reevaluate and figure out what adjustments I need to make? Because right now in the new year, it's the best time to set new goals and to reevaluate where you are and what you've done in the last year and how you can make improvements so that you can have even a better year. Okay, Miley on Disney, good to have you here. Thanks so much for tuning in. Millionaires from Zero, welcome, welcome. Okay, can I have your contact for business? So, for any business related things, you can contact me on my channel or in my Facebook group. Um, Either comment on my channel or in the Facebook group. I also have my business email there that you can contact me. Okay, Printful charges more than Printify. That is correct. Within the last years or so, Printful has become very expensive. So both Printify has increased prices too, but especially Printful, they have become extremely expensive. And that is why you've noticed a lot of my videos recently have been shifted more towards Printify because we have shifted a lot of our business over to Printify because they are far more affordable and you can have much higher margins with them. We still use Printful for different listings that we sell, specific products that we can't get on Printify, specifically certain colors of shirts or sweatshirts. So we use both, but we primarily now use Printify because their prices are much better. And with Printify Premium, you can really have really decent margins where you can make anywhere between $5 to $15 per item, depending on what you are selling for. If you're selling, that's specifically for shirts and t-shirts. But you are right. Printful is more expensive, but there are still products on Printful that you can't necessarily access on Printify. So Miley on Disney, it's saturated, but I do okay. Even just found an exciting new untapped niche. Awesome job. So I know Miley on Disney has had a lot of success in the past few months, as she shared on our channel and in our face, or specifically on our channel. But here's a great example: someone who saw a problem, or they didn't see a problem, they saw a way to adapt, and they found a new niche. They were doing their trend research. They were being diligent. They weren't being complacent, and they found a new niche. And now I could bet that they're going to do really well with this untapped niche because it has a lot of opportunity and it's not oversaturated yet. So you have to always be in tuned and doing your research, figuring out what's currently working, not only on Etsy, but in other big box stores and other retail companies, and apply that into your business. That's how you stay relevant, and that's how you make a profitable Etsy business. Okay, build a better mousetrap, and the world will beat a path to your door. Thank you, PB, for tuning in. Okay, Leanne Wilkinson, thank you so much for tuning into our live stream. Is the digital market too saturated? I'm researching now, and there is a lot of competition. So there are a ton of sellers on Etsy who are doing digital products, and there are a ton of sellers on Etsy who are doing print on demand. But as I shared in the beginning of this live stream, it is never too saturated if you're able to find something that is working and to bring something different and unique to the marketplace. And so you have to figure out a way to have a creative edge or a creative advantage on what's already working. So if you take digital planners, for example, that was one of the most profitable niches that I shared in my most recent video for digital products. Yes, there are a ton of digital product or a ton of digital planners that are selling right now, but you have to think of a way how you could adapt this to a specific niche and cater it to a specific genre or specific profession or whatever it is to bring something unique and different. And if you do that, you will see sales and you'll see success. Okay, Miley on Disney, thank you so much for the super chat. I greatly appreciate it. And I'm grateful for everyone's support who comments on our channel and is watching our videos and is super supportive. It's cool to see our tiny little community to continue to grow and to see so many people who are like-minded come together and help each other out. Okay, so Saturn 60 margins on non-t-shirt Printify products are bad. How can I sell these products passively with better margins? Maybe buy in bulk from Alibaba and hire a local print shop to print and fulfill orders. So that is an idea you could do. That is why I primarily sell t-shirts and sweatshirts because you have really good margins with them and they sell really well and they sell year round and they sell very consistently as long as you have a trending design. You can source other ways and do more drop shipping through Alibaba or AliExpress, however you'd like to do it. But I wouldn't miss out on the opportunity of selling products that do work with print on demand. And there are a lot of them. You just have to figure out what it is. And with that, too, don't be afraid to price what your product is worth. But with that, you have to create something that someone wants. So it's interesting. I've been so surprised on Etsy what customers are willing to pay if I created something that was different enough and was something that they actually wanted. So you will be surprised what someone will pay for a t-shirt if it's unique enough and is something that's trending and current. I've seen people sell t-shirts, the Bell Canvas 3001 shirt for $30+, which is an insane amount of money that I would never pay at Target or somewhere else for a shirt unless it was a design that I just absolutely had to have. Okay, do you use Canva, Kittl, both, or neither? So the design tools that we mostly use we'll use Canva, which is a great tool that you can use. They have a free version as well as a paid version. We also use GoDaddy Studio, former known as Over, but it's another great tool that has a lot of benefits and a lot of features that Canva doesn't have. And so we use them simultaneously. We also use Procreate. My wife does a lot of designing on Procreate on her iPad. And then Creative Fabrica is another great design service that we use for designs where we can gather these designs that we like or download fonts, whatever it is that we're looking for, and then create it and then incorporate them multiple elements into one design. And then also I highly recommend and talk a lot about on my channel is Vexels. It's a tool for quickly creating designs, and they have a lot of different scalable PSD templates. They have thousands and thousands of SVGs, PNGs. They have their t-shirt maker, Mockups, a lot of benefits to Vexel. So those are some of our most popular ones or our most favorite ones that we use. I know Kittl is another popular one that a lot of people are using now. We haven't experimented a lot with them, but I do plan on experimenting with them in the coming future, as well as sharing it with you, with our community and letting you know what I feel or what I think about it and if I think it's useful or not. But yeah, we like to use a lot of tools and use them simultaneously and to create our designs that we make. Okay, Abigail Freckleton, thank you so much for tuning in. I believe you're saying I'm in Jamaica. If I'm wrong, you can correct me, but thank you so much for tuning in all the way from Jamaica. Okay, the stand up for exchange. So here we go. Back to what I mentioned before. Gloria has done $125,000 in revenue last year, which is extremely impressive. And she hasn't been on Etsy that long. She started, correct me if I'm wrong, Gloria, but at least I've known about you and have become acquainted with you within the last a year and a half or 2 years since I've started my channel. So that's perfect example of someone that entered when it was very saturated and have had a lot of success with it. And another thing with that too, if she were to just stop designing now and stop doing her trend research and stop innovating and adding new things, I would bet that her sales would decrease and she would have a hard time staying relevant. So you have to stay relevant in order to succeed on Etsy, and you have to be designing things that people actually want. Okay, I'm in Jamaica. Can I have do POD having a US bank account? This I'm not entirely sure about or have much experience with since I'm a US based seller. But if you ask this question in the comment section after this live stream ends, I can do more research for you and figure that out for you. Another thing you can do is reach out to Printful support or Printify support, as well as Etsy support, and get more details on that. Since I'm based in the US, I'm not too familiar on this, but great question. I'd be happy to help you if you ask that question in the comment section after this live stream. So why did you shift from Printful to Printify? So the main reason why we shifted was mostly just because of price. It was so expensive. T-shirts and sweatshirts became so expensive on Printful that you had to charge a very high amount in order to make any money. And you can really make almost $10 more on Printify per item than you would at on Printful, depending on what you're charging. But that's the main reason. And with Printify too, just a side plug, not every print provider on Printify is created equal. So you need to do your research and figure out who you like or who's the best and who does the highest quality printing. Because what's different with Printful and Printify is Printful, they're doing it all in house themselves. They are the company. So they do all the printing and shipping themselves. But Printify, are working with several different print providers. So they're just like the middleman between the seller and the print provider. So you have to figure out who does best work for you. Specifically for t-shirts and sweatshirts, I love using Swift POD as well as Monster Digital. I've had great success with them, and I've had very little customer complaints with them. So yeah, do your research because we've had experiences in the beginning stages of starting our shop using Printify with specific print providers that we've had a lot of customer complaints. And so since then we stopped using them, and now we're primarily using Monster Digital and Swift POD, both great companies that I highly recommend. And do your research. There's a lot of blog posts out there and Reddit threads talking about these different companies, as well as in our Facebook group. Not only ours, but there's a lot of other creators on YouTube who have Facebook groups who talk about all the different providers that they love. Okay, I've been using Photoshop, but Kiddo looks promising. So Photoshop is an excellent tool, and that's like the top of when it comes to designing. Photoshop and Illustrator. If you have the skill set and if you have access to those are all great, or those are great tools to use. But they definitely do have a bigger learning curve than the ones that I mentioned on my channel. But if you can use Photoshop and Illustrator and you're proficient in it, 100% use it. But for those of you that are just starting out, that's the beauty of doing print on demand is you don't need to have graphic design skills to have success. There's so many tools and resources out there right now that will allow you to really have a creative advantage and to create designs that are very high quality. And the easiest way to do it is by using tools like Creative Fabrica or Vexels and taking different elements from those and then creating your own unique version or your own unique design, incorporating several different trends and trend combining. That's the best way to really stand out. But myself and my wife had very little design experience or graphic design experience in the past. I've done absolutely none at all, other than hand drawing just for fun. But I have no skill set in it. And when I mean hand drawing, I mean like stick figures. So I have zero design skill. And my wife, she's very artistic and does a great job, but she didn't have any experience with graphic design. She's learned everything since we've started selling print on demand and started selling on Etsy. So It's a myth. You don't need to be a great designer in order to have success. If you're willing to invest in yourself and in your business and invest in these tools that will allow you to stand out and to really increase your designing skills and scale your designing ability, then you'll be able to stand out. All right, keep asking your questions. I'll continue to answer your questions. If you're finding value in this live stream and you want me to go live more, please give this a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I post new content every week, and I plan to be even more active in this coming year. And we have a small little growing community, but it is growing, and I'm grateful for every single one of you who are supportive and comment on my channel and do everything to support the content that I create. And it makes me want to share more value and more information with all of you. All righty. Is there any way to save on shipping costs? So, unfortunately, with print on demand, there is not a great way to save on shipping costs unless you are ordering in bulk. So, if you have huge bulk orders, then your shipping cost is going to be reduced. But if you're selling one-off items, doing print on demand specifically with Printify or Printful, they have their base fee for shipping, and you're not able to reduce that. Alternative options you can look for is doing working with local print providers. So in your community, you can do that, and possibly you can have better shipping prices, or doing it yourself. But when you do it yourself, that's so much more work and really takes the whole idea out of this being a passive business model. So, um, but their shipping costs are fairly reasonable if you're working with Printify or Printful. Great question, Brian Zimmerman. Thank you so much for tuning in. Okay. So, are you using any uploading tools? I'm currently not using any uploading tools specifically for Etsy. I know if you're doing merch by Amazon, there's several more tools, and there's a lot more automation things you can do with merch by Amazon. That is one benefit of doing merch by Amazon. I know there's new tools that are coming forward now, like My Designs and things like that, that are help with automation and help with uploading. But the downside with them, and you can let me know, Mikkel, if I pronounce your name wrong, I'm sorry. But if My Designs, you can automate your uploading schedule and you can upload designs that way. But the downside of it that I found, and I could be wrong, is you're not able to upload your own mockups. So it's only automation for the print providers mockups that they use. And I personally prefer using my own mockups that I've created or that I've purchased off of Etsy. And the reason why I like that is because I've seen way better and higher conversion with that. Um, and I think they stand out and they look way more realistic, and they look way better. So if I find an automation tool that allows me to use my own mockups that I've purchased and will automate everything for me, then 100% I'll start using automation tools. Um, and I would imagine that My Designs, if they figure out a way to do that, they're going to eventually incorporate that into their business, because that would be an absolute game changer for doing print on demand, specifically on Etsy. But if you're doing merch by Amazon, there's a lot of different automation tools you can use. And if none of you follow Ryan Hogue, he is like the man to go to for merch by Amazon. And he does other content on Etsy as well, but he is a great resource who shares a lot of valuable information that I highly recommend checking out. His channel's Ryan Hogue Passive Income. Okay, how often do you check and report copycats? That's a great question. I'm probably doing it wrong, but I like to give other sellers the benefit of the doubt. And the reason why I do that is because I would like the same for myself if I were to accidentally infringe on someone else. I know in the beginning state when we first started out, we created a design that was based off of a trending element, but it was very similar to that trending element. And we're new to it all. We're trying to figure it all out. And the seller reached out to us over messages and said, "Hey, your design is very similar to ours. we wanted to give you a warning and just give you the chance to change this design or remove this listing before we reported you. And I greatly appreciated that. Being a new seller, it was very overwhelming having that happen. And if they were just to report me, it would have been, it would have been hard. It would have been hard for me. So I appreciated that. So what I'm trying to get at is anytime we have a copycat that rips off our design, we give them the benefit of the doubt and we will message them. We have a saved snippet that we've created that we'll send to them and let them know, hey, we're going to ask you to remove this listing. It's pixel for pixel of our design, or it's our mock-up, or it's our entire mock-up photos that you just copied and downloaded to your computer and used. We're going to ask you to remove it, and we'll give you X amount of days to remove it. Otherwise, we're going to report you to Etsy, and you'll have to work with them. And most of the time, 9 out of 10, depending on the size of the shop, they will respond. They'll say, sorry, it was an accident, or whatever the response is, and they'll remove the listing. So we give them the benefit of the doubt, but I know there are some copycats out there that will just blatantly copy your design. Like they will just they'll download your mockup and they'll use your exact mockups pixel for pixel. I've even seen it where they'll use your mockups with your watermarking of your own store, which is insane that they do it. And for examples like that, you could consider just reporting it if you'd like, but figure out what you want to do for yourself. We give them the chance. If they don't remove it, then we would consider reporting it, but we give them a time frame to remove it. And there's a lot of copycatting that happens on Etsy, which is very disheartening. So, an advice for every single one of you that are tuned into the stream right now: do not copy other sellers. It is there's a huge difference between inspiration and plagiarism. So do not copy another seller. If you're copying other sellers, you are too late. You're too late. You're not going to make you may make one or two sales, but you're not going to make the sales that you would make if you created something unique and different based off of trending elements. So don't copy other sellers. Please respect every seller and create your own work. And that is how you'll find the most fulfillment and the most joy selling on Etsy, is by creating your own work and doing your own thing based off of what is trending and currently working. Okay, Auntie, thank you so much for subscribing. Welcome to the family. And thanks for tuning into this live stream today on your weekend. Okay, do you think an LLC is necessary when you're getting started? So this is not legal advice, or this is just my own opinion, but when you're first starting out, us personally, I would just start out as a sole proprietor and work under that until you figure out that this is something that you want to keep with and do. Because you're gonna notice in the beginning stages there's a lot of experimenting that happens, and you may start it out and life gets busy and you forget about it. So you'd have to jump through all those hoops to set up your LLC, which isn't a ton. But I would just start out as filing as a sole proprietor when you're first starting out, and then consider filing as an LLC and setting up an LLC for your business. And yes, as you continue to start with it, 100%, it's extremely smart and a no-brainer to set up your business legally, so that your personal expenses and your personal life is separated from your business life. And again, that is not legal advice. That's my own opinion. So do your research, work with someone who is in this professional field who can really help you. But great question. So, Mikhail, 1 to 3 hours a day is what you're spending working on your shop, I believe. So that's awesome. That's a great enough. That's a perfect amount of time to really see good results and to create something that could really scale your business. So I think it's interesting. I've tried to figure out a lot lately, and within the new year, I've studied a lot about like self-development, and I watched a lot of channels that talk about self-development and how to free up more time. Because that's like my whole thing, is to figure out how I can create more time for myself and my family, so we can do more of what we want and love, which is to travel and to spend time with family and friends. But you could have someone, an example, that works an 8-hour day, and then someone that works a 3-hour day, like Mikkel is sharing here. And in those 3 hours, Mikkel could do significantly more good work and more impactful work for his business than someone could do in 8 hours if they're not prioritizing and being intentional with their time. So just remember that you can really do a huge amount of beneficial work for your business in a very small time if you are being intentional. So yeah, just consider that. Reevaluate yourself where you are right now. Are you being intentional with your time, or are you just doing busy, mundane tasks that are like doing the daily maintenance things, but not necessarily growing your business? I know we've fallen into this trap several times. My wife and I on our business is where we just get caught up in like customer service and doing little things other than the most important things, which is to be creating a large quantity of high quality listings. That's the most and best important, the best thing you can be doing for your business. So, thanks for sharing, Mikkel. Okay, so LV Moon, thank you so much for tuning in. Great question. So we did have some success in the beginning stages. Our first order that we had in our store was we sold 2 mugs. So they were just the basic white mug that you can sell, and we those that was our first order. So I'm like, hey, maybe this is our thing that we're gonna do. And we also in the beginning stages sold stickers. That could have been our thing that we had success with. We didn't have a great amount of success with it, but we have sold a handful of mugs, several mugs in the beginning stages. But since then we've adapted, as I've already talked about. Um, so figure out your thing. I know there's some sellers like Miley on Disney, who's in this chat, and in this live stream. She's had a lot of success with mugs, and that's her thing. But for us, it's clothing. So figure out your thing and run with it. And when you find your thing, double down on it and figure out ways to incorporate that into different niches and into different categories. And then to answer your question about did you have success with personalized items, we experimented a lot with personalization in the beginning stages, and we did have some orders that were personalizable. And but with that, it took too much of our time and was too much extra work that wasn't necessary, because we could sell the same thing that was way more hands off, that was already created and done, that was automated, that we didn't have to do any more work with after the sale. So that's why we don't do much personalization anymore, but we do have the option for customers to reach out and request personalization options, or customization options. So there is a setting in your store. I can't remember exactly where it is, but if you go to settings on your manager dashboard, you can turn this feature on to where it will show customization option available. And under your listings, you'll see a button that will say request. I can't remember the exact wordage, but it's like request a custom order, whatever it is. That's not it, but my mind went blank. But we have that feature available so that if someone wants a custom order, they can click the button and it will open a message thread for us to create a custom order. And then we'll talk about the details and figure out if it's something we want to do or not. If it's too much work or if it's pretty easy work, we'll do it. And it really just depends. But if you're going to be doing personalized items and customized shirts or products, make sure you are being paid for your time and you're charging upfront for your time so that you're not out money if they back out. I'll share a quick story. In the beginning, when we were doing personalization, my wife spent hours and hours, a few days on this design. And this time, as we learned from this experience, is we didn't charge up front for the custom design that she was going to create. So after she completed the design, she reached out to the customer, said it's all done. Here it is. Let us know if you have any feedback or if you want us to make any changes. And the customer never responded. And so she was out hours of time that she spent creating this design, and we never sold the item. So if you're going to do personalization, make sure you're charging for your time, figuring out what it is for you. And what you can do with this too is you can create a listing just for your custom order listing. We have one of these in our shop. So the thumbnail just says custom order, and it's priced at whatever custom order fee is. And then we can have the customer add that to their cart with whatever listing it is. And they can purchase that so that they'll pay for that custom order in advance before we create the design. Then after we create the design, then they can go in and purchase the item. And you can do this all through your message thread. Etsy makes it very easy for custom orders. And we haven't done one in a while. So not yeah, it's up to you what you want to do. But me personally, I'm trying to make this as passive as possible, as hands off as possible. So we don't do a lot of personalization or custom orders. Okay. Do you recommend ads for newbies? I do not recommend ads for newbies unless you have the budget to spend on it. But me personally, this is a great question, and I get this often: is the best thing to do when you're starting out is to create a lot of is to create a large quantity of high quality listings and to rank organically. So really perfect your SEO. Make sure you're using keywords that are proven and that people are actually searching for. A great tool for this to do your keyword research is the Everbee Chrome extension. Not only keyword research, but also product research. And I have a link in the description if you're interested in checking that out. You can sign up for free and experiment with it before signing up for it. But if you rank organically, then you can sell organically without having to spend any money on ads. So another thing with ads too is you shouldn't pour money into ads unless you have one that's proven and that is working, because that's the best way to add fuel to the fire. If you have a design that's already selling well for you, then you can add fuel to the fire by spending ads on it because you know it's already going to sell. So you know it's going to have a really good conversion rate, and your ad spend is going to go a long ways, because it will convert customers. So that would be my recommendation. Focus on creating high quality designs, creating high quality listings, using proven SEO, and ranking organically before you start spending money on ads, unless you just have a crazy budget, and then you can consider that. So, Gloria, I'm working 9 to 3. Last year, I was working 10 plus hours a day. So, yeah, you'll see that pattern happen often with sellers. They're going to work a lot more hours in the beginning stages. And as they start to figure out their business model and how they want to run and operate, they'll start to cut back and work less hours. And two, like what's crazy with print on demand is we've created a design 2 years ago that is still selling today for us, that we spent an hour more on a year ago. That still sells today, that still makes us money today. And there's no more work that we have to do today because we created that a year or two ago, other than like customer service and things like that. So print on demand, there's really so much opportunity with it and so much potential and so much flexibility. It doesn't matter what you want to do. If you want to have more time with your kids, if you want to have more time to travel, you need more time to finish your degree, or you're just looking for a way to make some extra money. This allows you to make money on the back end when you're sleeping, when you're playing, when you're spending time with your kids, or whatever it is. You can make money passively after you've done the groundwork, which is so cool to me, and that's why I love it so much. I'll never forget the day when it was my wife and I's anniversary. Is our first anniversary since we were starting selling on Etsy, and we spent the whole day doing things we love to do, and we were out doing things we love, and we were still making money while we were doing that. So just such a surreal experience, like having our fun activities that we're doing being funded throughout the day by the orders that were coming in on Etsy. And it's still the same thing today. It doesn't get old. Like anytime an order comes in, I still get excited. And it just because it's like, man, this is so cool that I'm making money while we are traveling abroad or we're out grocery shopping or whatever it is. Yeah, it's just I love it. I'm a huge fan of print on demand and creating systems that make you money passively. Okay. So I'll answer a few more questions here. So if you're finding value in this live stream, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. Also, I have a Facebook group, Print on Demand Warriors. The link is in the description. Feel free to go and join that to be a part of a community where you can get your questions answered by other sellers. So Miley on Disney, there's a never ending abundance of opportunity. I 100% agree. It's crazy though. Once you start working for yourself and you figure, like, even just if you get one sale, your first sale, and you have that realization, okay, I created something, someone from across the world bought it from me, and I made money online. It's such a surreal experience knowing that that's possible, and today it's still possible. And when you experience that and you experience like the growth of it and the potential with it and how much you really can make within a span of few hours or within a day, it's very hard to go back to being employed and to working for someone and to be trading your time for money. It's so difficult to do that. But with that too, like 100%, if you're working a day job that's a 9 to 5 job, I applaud you, and that's great for you. And I don't think you should ever jump ship to doing something passively too soon, if that makes sense. Like you don't want to start selling on Etsy, like quit everything and start selling on Etsy and um and lose that income that you have. too early on because you need to have that income in order to fund your mission. So don't jump too soon, but the opportunity is there when you want to jump and when you're able to jump. Okay, in your Etsy mockup store, it's only female mockups. Is there a reason why there are less men mockups? So, great question. We have intended to make more male mockups, and there are a handful of male mockups on Etsy. We don't have any in our store, but the reason why we initially didn't create male mockups is just because there's a bigger market for females on Etsy, we believe, and most of your orders that we've sold, at least in our POD shop, has been for females, and so we've marketed to that, and most sellers are going to be purchasing female mockups, but I think there is still a big market for male mockups. But like the primary market that's coming to Etsy is majority females, and they're shopping for females. But with that too, there's a lot of people who are like buying shirts for their dads or their brothers or whatever it is. But that's why we don't have many male mockups, is because when we initially created our mockup shop, we focused on that first, and we plan to in the coming year to hopefully add some male mockups because I think there isn't enough on Etsy. Okay. And if you guys are looking for mockups, feel free to check out our shop, Malama Mocks. The link is in the description. But there's also a lot of other great mockup shops out there. Just do your research. And if you're new to this all and you're like, what are mockups? What a mockup is if you're selling a Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt, let's say a black Gildan 18,000 sweatshirt, what you'll do is, and what I recommend is going to Etsy, search Gildan 18,000 black sweatshirt mockup, and you'll see a lot of different options for mockups that you can purchase anywhere between 99 cents to $8. And these are mockups that it's a digital file that you download to your computer, and then you can drop your design on it and then use these as your listing photos in your shop. And I highly recommend using these instead of using your print provider's mockups. Okay, so John from Eastern Kentucky here. I love Kentucky. I spent a few years in Kentucky. So welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live stream. Thank you so much for tuning in. And you're very lucky to be living in Eastern Kentucky. But thank you so much for your support. I'm glad you found my videos to be valuable and helpful. And keep up with it. Good things will happen for you as long as you stick with it. If you have any questions, feel free to ask on my channel or in my Facebook group. I respond to every single YouTube comment, at least as of now, while I'm able to. If the channel continues to grow, I may not be able to keep up with it as often, but as of now, I'm answering any question on my channel. And then the Facebook group too. I know I haven't been as active in there just because it's so hard to balance everything. I'm trying to balance my time here. But there are a lot of great members in that community in our Facebook group who will answer your questions if you have any. But happy to help. And yeah, thanks so much, Sean, for tuning in. So I've had good luck with Monster Digital and Printify. Yeah, they are a great provider, and I highly recommend them. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. It's so good to have everyone here. If you didn't get your question answered, please ask me in the comment section down below this video after the stream ends. And if you didn't get your question answered, make sure you tune in my next live stream. I'm trying to go live every other week to get questions answered for all of you. But thank you so much for tuning in. It's so fun to be able to hang out with you guys for an hour, and especially on the weekend. I admire you for getting in, tuning into my live stream on the weekend. But I hope you have a great weekend. And remember that it is 100% possible to make money on Etsy in 2023. I am saying that from experience and from other sellers that are in the stream right now. It's still possible, but you have to be disciplined and you have to be determined. You would be so surprised what a little bit of discipline and determination, what it can do for you and where it can take you. If you can conquer those two things, you will succeed in anything. I hope you guys have a great day. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next live stream.